If you're ever thinking of going to a fast food restaurant after midnight, please don't. Because let me walk you through what happened last time I did that. It's 1 a.m. and I'm starving. The city's asleep, but my stomach isn't. So I decided I needed to find somewhere to eat. The only problem is, every food place near me is closed at this time. So there I was, driving around in the dark with my stomach making these weird whale noises as if it was trying to communicate with other hungry stomachs in the area. Originally, my plan was to pull up to this taco place I knew of where none of the workers there spoke English, so I knew the food would always be good. Because their hours are super random and sometimes they're open super late, but when I got to it, they were closed. But after driving for a little bit, the only thing that was open was the gas station that offers hot dogs that have been rotating in that heater thing since 2004. But anyways, my standards were dropping fast, but not that fast. But then I spotted something. The golden arches glowing in the distance. But better yet, there were a bunch of cars in the parking lot, so I knew they were open. McDonald's wasn't my first choice because their fries get soggy kind of quickly and their ice cream machine has been broken since World War I. But at 1 a.m., the only requirement I had for the place I went to was that they had something I could put in my mouth. Wait, pause. So I pull into the parking lot, but immediately, something was off when I got into the drive-thru. Because I get to the screen with the menu, waiting for them to say hello to me and ask what I want to order. But after about 10 seconds of waiting, nothing was said. So doing something I'm usually too scared to do, I tried initiating a conversation for once. I said, "Hello? Is anyone there?" But after another couple seconds, it was still silent. But then, I heard something weird. Music playing in the distance. But after locking in on what the sound was, I realized it was coming from inside the McDonald's. But it wasn't their typical Kids Bop elevator music playlist that they usually play in there or whatever it is. But instead, it almost sounded like a party. Have you ever gone through a breakup so bad you felt like your life was over? Like you're getting blocked on social media? Ghosted when you tried texting them. It's like your ex is erasing you as if you never existed. Well, I haven't, obviously, because we all know I have never been in a relationship. But let me tell you about someone I know who has. This person had their heart broken by someone they thought they were gonna marry. They were completely blocked and had no way to reach out. They were spiraling, unsure of what to do, until they found Psychic Rose on an app called AstroTalk. When they first met her, the psychic didn't know anything about the situation, just the person's date of birth. But suddenly, she asked, "Does your ex happen to have a scar on their hand?" They were shocked. The ex did have a small scar on their hand that you would only notice if you were close with them. Before they could even process that, the psychic told them that the ex was thinking about them and that they would get back together within the same month. Fast forward a few days and guess what? The ex actually texted them. So if you're in a similar situation, tired of the situationship drama, or just spiraling over your ex, try AstroTalk. Your first chat is completely free here, so there's nothing to lose. And these psychic people really know their stuff. You can actually ask them anything. Do they miss me? Will they come back? You could even know who your soulmate is, so you can try it out. The link will be in the description. But to make things even more weird, I finally heard a sound come from the intercom at the drive-thru. And everyone knows, the drive-thru speakers usually sound terrible. But this one wasn't just terrible, it was downright suspicious because there was a static noise coming from it. But the problem? It was what I could hear behind the static that made my midnight food run feel like I just stumbled onto something I wasn't supposed to. But because there was noise coming from the intercom now, I figured they were listening to what I was gonna say and just wanted me to say my order. So I cleared my throat, making sure I didn't voice crack when I tried to speak. But as I'm about to tell them my order, I say, "Hi, can I get a..." And then I hear a bzzz sound. This weird static noise cut me off mid-sentence. It wasn't regular static though. It was the kind that sounds like when an alien is trying to communicate with humans through the radio. Like if you focus really closely, it almost sounded like you could hear voices. I knew people must have been inside since there were so many cars out there, but I didn't know what was going on. So I was just like, well, maybe they can't hear me. Let's try yelling. So I went, "Hello? Can I order?" But once again, more static. But this time, I noticed something underneath all that noise. People talking. A lot of people. It sounded like a full-on conversation happening, and I could hear the music in the background. It was faint, but unmistakable. So I'm starting to think they accidentally left their mic on for the intercom while they went to do something else. So I tried again. This time with the polite approach, thinking that maybe they just didn't like my approach last time and thought I was mean. So I go, "Excuse me? Is anyone there?" Once again, nothing. Just static and more of those weird background noises. Okay, well, let's try one more time then. So now, I did the Karen approach. By the way, sorry to all the Karens out there who are cool. I kind of feel bad for you guys. I really hope my name never becomes a meme like that. If the name Tyler ever becomes the male version of Karen, I'm changing my name to LeBron. But anyways, I went with the Karen approach. So I said, "Hello? Hello, can anyone hear me? I'm trying to order food. Can I talk to a manager?" Still, nothing but static and whatever the heck those background noises were. After running out of ideas of what to do next, then I heard another weird noise, clapping through the speaker. Along with that, I could faintly hear people counting in the background. Uno, dos, tres. Now, me no hablo español, but I'm pretty sure that was Spanish. Shout out to my 3 years of Spanish class I took in high school to learn that phrase. That's about all I learned. Actually, that's not true. I also know Feliz Navidad because of all the songs about it. Yeah, that one means happy birthday. So after hearing all these noises, I realized that I needed to go inside if I wanted to get my order. I didn't know what was going on in there, but there were so many cars that I figured if I wanted to get my food, I could easily do it if I walked inside. This was the last thing I wanted to do because it was freezing cold at 1 a.m., but whatever. So I had two goals. One, figure out what the heck was going on inside there. And two, get my dang Big Mac. I'll pull all the way around the drive-thru and park my car. And that was when I looked inside the building for the first time. And what do I see? At least 15 to 20 people dancing inside the McDonald's. But not only that, they were dressed up in fancy clothes. I sat there for a second questioning whether I was just seeing things because I was so hungry or if this was actually real. But after having a talk with the whale in my stomach, I knew I wasn't hallucinating. Now, I've never been to a McDonald's this late at night, so I didn't know if it was just normal for it to turn into a nightclub after midnight or what the deal was. But I needed to find out. My hunger was still screaming at me, but now my curiosity was screaming even louder. You know what my first thought was of what was going on in there? A restaurant makeover show, where they get one of those really old rundown restaurants and turn it into the most amazing place to eat ever. You know what I'm talking about? The Gordon Ramsay shows where you just roast the people that work there?
I don't think you can actually cook.
So I don't think that was happening. I walked around the building before going in to see if I could get any more hints of what was going on in there. And when I get to the back of the building, that's when I see another layer of strangeness. Delivery trucks were parked outside. But I know people who worked at McDonald's before, and they always talked about deliveries happening in the morning, not the middle of the night. So I completely forgot about the fact that I was even hungry now. My stomach even stopped growling now because apparently being nosy outweighs the desire for food. So I tried to get a closer look through the front windows to see what was going on in there, because they're kind of tinted, so unless you're right up next to them, you can't really see inside. And once I put my face up to the glass, I can see more details about what's happening. But right as I'm looking around, someone in there makes eye contact with me. The person that saw me kind of jumped at first when we looked at each other, which I don't blame them for because I may or may not have been standing at the window looking at them like this. But they startled me just as much as I startled them, because it felt like I wasn't supposed to be watching whatever was going on in there. You know how when you try to act normal, but it just makes you look super suspicious? That was me after we made eye contact. I tried to look away as quickly as possible and do that casual walk thing where you have your hands in your pocket and you're whistling, just looking around as if you're not guilty. But if anything, that just made me look more suspicious, because they were still looking at me. So I just went back to my car. I sat there for a couple minutes thinking if I should try going inside again or if I should just go back home. But I was too curious and too hungry to leave. So I snuck back up to the window to see what was going on again. But this time, I made sure to be more discreet. And after looking around inside for a while, I started to notice some things. A bunch of balloons hanging from the ceiling. Streamers crisscrossed against the menu board. But the weirdest thing of all, a photo of a random girl stood up on a canvas in the middle of the place. I had to look up and make sure this place was still a McDonald's and it hadn't been turned into a convention center since the last time I was there. I'm not usually a guy that stays up super late, so I wasn't sure if this was just something that always happens at this time. Eventually, I just said I'm gonna go for it and try going inside to see what was happening in there. I tried looking confident this time walking up to the door instead of taking that stalker approach I took the last time. I once saw someone say that if you act like you belong somewhere, no one will bat an eye. Unfortunately, whoever said that is a liar though, because I once went into a Holiday Inn trying to get a free continental breakfast because they slap so much, and I walked inside there with my chest out looking like I owned the place. Then I went into the kitchen and started making myself a waffle, but I got kicked out right away by an employee asking to see my room card. So I went straight up to that door and reached on the handle, expecting it to at least open, but unfortunately, it didn't budge. I tried again, thinking that it might just be stuck, but nothing, which made zero sense considering there were dozens of people inside looking like they were having the time of their life. None of the people in there heard me doing this because of the loud music that was playing, so they didn't come to the door. But after giving it one more big tug trying to open it, I once again smushed my face on the glass, staring through it to see what they were all doing. And that's when something happened. The most awkward moment of the entire month. Maybe even the entire year. A guy standing near the entrance turned around and caught me with my face smushed against the glass as if I was trying to make love to the window. Unfortunately, that's about as close as I have gotten to making love, so I'll take it. But we locked eyes for a couple seconds. Me with my, I promise I'm not trying to impregnate this window right now, look on my face. And him with his, who is this person trying to break in right now, expression on his face. My face turned red with embarrassment. After locking eyes with me, He didn't even say anything. He just looked me dead in the eyes and shook his head slowly as if he was saying, no, you cannot come in. It felt like I was getting turned away from a VIP event. Like, nah, sorry, bro. The Filet-O-Fish party is invite only. Joke's on you. I didn't want to party at McDonald's anyway. I'm going to Wendy's where she knows how to throw a real party. Nah, I didn't say that. But anyways, back to reality. I stood frozen, considering what to say next. Should I mouth something like, open the door, through the glass? Hold up my wallet saying that I want to pay for food? Just accept defeat? My stomach growled loudly enough that he probably heard it through the door. And the entire time this was going on, the gathering continued behind him. People laughing and dancing, completely unaware of the hungry guy just standing at the door. I felt like I was watching whatever was going on in there through a TV screen. So I decided, regardless of whatever was happening inside there, they weren't going to let me in. And I accepted defeat. I realized I was just gonna have to go home and settle for eating cinnamon on ice once again. Just as I was walking back to my car, feeling totally defeated, I then hear a voice. Hey! I quickly turn around and see that the man playing defense on that front door like Prime Maldini was talking to me. So I respond with, yes? And he waves toward me, signaling to walk back towards him so we can talk. Then he says to me, were you trying to get food? And I say, yeah, at first I was, but then I was trying to figure out what was going on in there after seeing everything happening. Then he gives me the big reveal. The owner of this restaurant has a daughter, and it was her birthday that day. So they were throwing a birthday party for her in the McDonald's. Then my heart dropped. Oh my gosh. Ronald McDonald has a daughter? Not but for real. I was wondering, who throws a birthday party at 1 a.m. in a McDonald's? Everything suddenly made more sense though, from the fancy clothes to the decorations. Then I asked the guy if there was a chance those fryers were still running. And he goes, nah, I'm sorry. You won't be able to get any McDonald's food tonight. But I can give you a cookie. So I gladly took one, went back home, and went to bed. I don't know if this is a common thing to happen at fast food restaurants past midnight. If you're a night owl and you're aware of this happening, please let me know. But from now on, I'm not testing it anymore.